Hello, our project title is Footprint Calculator and it's based on scapegoat trees. The group members are I, Aliza Rafiq, Wasik Hussain, Muhammad Amar Khan, and Ehsan Ali. Let's start with understanding scapegoat trees. These are the three components that we will discuss. Scapegoat trees are self-balancing binary search trees. This data structure uses the concept of a scapegoat, which literally means a person to blame when something goes wrong. Rather than using step-by-step rebalancing operations, it finds a scapegoat and rebuilds the entire subtree rooted at the scapegoat. Scapegoat trees does not store any extra information like red black trees storing colors. Scapegoat trees have a worst-case search time of O log n and amortize O log n insert and delete time. Now let's talk about the balancing. There are two kinds of balancing in scapegoat trees. The first one is weight balanced. A typical binary search tree is weight balanced when half of the nodes are on the left subtree and the other half are on the right subtree. Scapegoat tree uses alpha weight balance criteria, which is as follows. So the size of left and right subtree should be less than equal to the size of alpha times the size of node. Alpha can take values from 0.5 to 1. High alpha values results in fewer balances, making insertion quicker, but searching and deletion slower. Height balanced. This tree also needs to be height balanced according to this equation. The height of the tree should be less than equal to the log with base of 1 over alpha and value of size of tree. During insertion, these two balancing rules needs to be considered. Rebuilding. The rebuilding of scapegoat tree requires the in-order traversal of the tree and storing its values in a list. Then a new BST, binary search tree, is created recursively from the list. And now Wasik will discuss the functionality of the data structure.
Okay, so now that Aliza has explained the idea of a scapegoat tree and how it works, I will discuss the code that we have used to implement a scapegoat tree in our project. First, we have created a class to define nodes that we have to use in tree for storing data. Then we have implemented our main class. In the initialization or say constructor function, we are taking a as input, which is the value for alpha key according to which the tree has to be balanced. The next important function is isDeep function, which checks that do we need to rebuild the tree for it being balanced or not. Other important functions include the rebuild tree function. It checks all conditions and rebuilds the tree with balancing it according to the alpha key that we have provided earlier. The next important function is the delete function, which removes the given value if it exists in the tree. We also have a search function that searches for the given value that we have given as the parameter and returns its location if it exists in tree. The most important function of whole code is the insert function itself. It stores the given data in form of a node. It checks for the need for the balancing of the tree and rebuilding it if necessary using the alpha value that we provided earlier, and whole other functions like isDeep or rebuilding tree and inside it. The other function that is not so much necessary but comes handy is the print tree function, which just prints the contents of the tree in the pre-order way. I will hand it over to Amar, who will explain the OCR functionality and the timing analysis between different data structures. Thanks.
Okay guys, so coming on to the OCR, so basically what we desired from this particular application was that if we insert an image of the food product spec side, it will return us a list of strings containing each and every ingredient of that food product. So first we resize the image so it is more widened now, and basically the text is more visible to the OCR now. And after that we applied a sharpness filter. So basically it is a high pass filter and it reduces the noise in the background. So as you can see, the colors from the background are gone now and only the text is now visible. So basically it acts on the gradients of the pixel. So wherever it finds the pixel gradient to be high, it enhances the pixels there, and wherever the gradient is still not changing, it reduces the pixel intensity from there. And apart from that, we binarized the image so it is now in black and white, and then we applied contrast to the image so that the black and white colors are more differentiable now. and through that we were able to get an optimized image for the OCR operation. And we accumulated each of the above operation in a singular function, and then we applied this get ingredients function. So basically what this function do is that we have a CSV file containing each and every possible food ingredient that could be existing in a food product. So basically it matches if the string that is being retrieved from the OCR basically belongs to any of the food ingredient, then only it proceeds to append that particular string in the output list. And through that we were able to eliminate the unnecessary text in our OCR results. And as you can see that if we apply this function on cornflakes or pita bread, the images I have retrieved for my food products, we get a solidified result. And now SN will be demonstrating on our application and our front end demo. Okay guys, so coming on to the timing complexity graphs here. So we have compared the search time complexity of different data structures that we have learned in our course as well. Likewise, red, black and aerial trees with the scapegoat trees of different alpha parameter value. So we'll be comparing the search time complexity because our application is very search expensive, as the ingredients will be our input, and it will search for the ingredients in the tree and then output the carbon footprint value. So here we have populated the trees with approximately 2000 different ingredients, and then we have searched for these ingredients in our trees. So we have calculated each and every one's time, and we have obtained this particular graph. If we zoom onto this graph, you can see that the scapegoat trees with alpha value 0.2 actually outperformed any other tree, and the red black trees were able to perform really poorly here, but the aerial trees were good and they were relatively very close to the scapegoat trees with alpha value 0.5. And through this we are able to see the benefits of scapegoat trees, as the tunability allows us to optimize the search operation. However, the cost of optimizing this search operation is that we'll be getting more complexity in the add operation, but we can tune it to according to what our application desires.
Hello everyone, I'm Essen and I will be briefing you about the application that we have designed. It's the interface or graphical interfacing unit. It's functioning with a brief overview of the algorithm as well. But before we demo the application functionalities, let me brief you about the purpose of our application design and the overall aim of this project. So as we all know that the world's population is rapidly increasing and the demand for healthy food and energy is also pacing up. And as a consequence, there is also a huge surge in demand for the energy in agricultural, industrial, and automotive sectors as well, which for the most part is fulfilled by burning of fossil fuels or hydrocarbons, since electrical-based industries, automotives, and agricultural machines are still not widely present around the world. As a result, from the burning of these fossil fuels and hydrocarbons, significant amount of greenhouse gases are emitted in the atmosphere, and the fresh water is also reducing significantly, since the freshwater reservoirs around the globe are at a critical temperature at this critical point as of now. Therefore, there is an urgency to design a sustainable solution for preserving atmosphere and controlling freshwater usage. So what our application does is exactly that. The idea behind our application is to have a portable tool that can be used in a device with cameras such as cell phone and laptop, which is easily and cheaply available to everyone these days, to basically capture image of different products, including food and cosmetics, paints, hygiene products, and other household items, and extract the ingredients and the composition items from these products to calculate the greenhouse parameters called carbon footprint and water footprint. These two parameters tells us about how much of fresh water are we consuming and how much of the greenhouse gases are we releasing to atmosphere when we consume a particular product, and what amount of this consumption may be harmful to our environment. But for our implementation of this idea, we narrowed down the scope to food products only due to data set constraint that we had. We could only expand this, but we could expand this scope with availability of data set for different items such as cosmetics and paints and other such items in future as well. Apart from that, we have also suggested some guidelines here as to how we can reduce the carbon and water footprint for the user of this application to go through in this about section. Right. So good. So let us now demonstrate the designed application. I won't be covering the detailed coding behind this graphical interface. You can find it in the repository shared with this video. So first of all, we have the upload image button, which will capture and load the image of the program, as you can see. For mobile, it will be basically for mobile, and the idea was to basically capture the image directly using cell phone camera so the user can quickly calculate the footprint. But for demonstration purposes, I have uploaded the image using from the folder. So the string from the images will be detected by OCR, with all the strings in the image, which are then compared, then searched within our data structure to see what ingredients are present within our data structure. And as far as scapegoat data structure that we have designed, the data it holds for each node is basically the list of ingredient names from the food, its water consumption from the rain, agriculture, and underground sources, and similarly the carbon emission from SO2, CO2, and phosphorus oxide as well. So you can see the image has appeared in the background. Right. So we will then extract the values required to calculate the footprint for that. Also, you might have noticed that the image takes some while to load. That is due to the multiple image processing function that we have used. For now, you can see the food ingredients are displayed to the user that was present within the image as well that you saw earlier. And then we can simply calculate the footprint using this button right here, which tells us how sustainable the food item is to be used as told by this scale. This scale is currently designed with the maximum and minimum footprint from the ingredients available in dataset, but it can be changed as well as we add different ingredients to the dataset. Similarly, if some other ingredients is also present in food which is not detected by OCR, the user can manually input its parameter to calculate the footprint as well. For example, I will just add a dummy food item for now, say apple, with the values of say 786 or 457. So rainwater, freshwater, and agricultural water values that I've added are usually in magnitude of hundreds or thousands per million kilocalories. Similarly, for emissions, it is relatively low, for say about 3. So these are dummy values that I'm adding just to demonstrate how it works. But if I add some string instead of a number, it will give me error of entering the numerical values. So I'll have to write a number, and entering the add button will add the item to the list. And similarly, similarly to calculate the new footprint, we will simply press the calculate button. So you can see the footprint is basically increased. Right, so the algorithm responsible for calculating the footprint is pretty straightforward. It adds up the water consumption from rain, agricultural feed, and underground for a specific ingredient per million kilocalories to calculate water footprint. And similarly, adds up carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and phosphorus oxide emissions to calculate the carbon footprint. Let me just demonstrate one more item real quick. Before I do that, I will simply press the reset button, which will clear all the entries, and then I will press the upload. And let me select some other food item. So the food item selection is taking quite a while because of the mentioned reason that I talked about earlier. It performs some image processing algorithms, or run some image processing algorithms on the image, which takes up the while. So it will depend upon the user's device how efficiently or how quickly the image will be loaded. Right. So let us just wait for the image to load. Right, so this is the image you can see right here with the ingredients of wheat flour, vegetable oil, egg, sugar, salt, yeast, milk, and other such ingredients, which most of which are detected right here. You can as you can see in the food ingredients detected. Some of them are not detected because some of them which are not present in the data set that we had within the Excel file might not be same as the ones detected as the strings that are detected here. So that's why you see some of the ingredients missing here. So calculating the footprint button will calculate its footprint. As you can see, it's not too dangerous and not too sustainable, so it's somewhere in the middle. Right, so that is so I believe that is it, pretty much it for the application working itself. The data set is in Excel, and coding details for OCR and GUI and the detailed implementation can be found in the repository link attached with this video.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you guys understood the basic idea of scapegoat tree and the carbon footprint problem, and also liked our video. Goodbye.